It is the second to last day of training camp for the Detroit Lions as they finish training camp tomorrow, Wednesday, the 23rd of August, heading into their preseason finale against the Carolina Panthers. And then we go on and we are getting ready for Kansas City. And while I still would like to see the starters play in the preseason, looks like they might have got as many reps as they could in kind of a real game scenario in today's scrimmage. Now, of course, it was closed to the fans. The fans' time being in training camp is over, so you have to be credentialed in order to see this information. So shout out to the guys, as always, at Pride of Detroit. Jeremy breaks this thing down pretty good, but we're just going to cover a few aspects of it. I will source it in the description like I always do. And after you watch this video, you can go ahead and check out the full highlights. I'm just going to bring out a few. We're going to start with the Detroit Lions officially closed training camp on Wednesday, and they're going out with a bang. Tuesday's practice was quite possibly the most intense and physical of any of the past month, and that does include the joint practices. Not only was the entire practice just a huge scrimmage, even with a 10-minute halftime break inside the building, but they went live tackling for the entire day as well. Clearly, Coach Dan Campbell was trying to come close to simulating preseason action while maintaining control of the situation and setting up scenarios that he wants to work on. We're going to try to put a load on our guys, Campbell said before practice. It's going to be intense. It'll be pretty physical. So I think, yeah, potentially that's what you could lose without preseason reps is some of that. But I feel like we can mimic that in practice and we can do it in a controlled environment. Now that goes a long way to seeing what we are going, if we are going to see the starters in the preseason finale. It all really depends on these two practices. While that's great, and everything he said was good, the Lions still know the Lions. So Jared Goff knows the tendencies of his defense. The defense knows the tendency of the offense. It would be good to have some fresh faces, a different scheme, different players that you go up against. So I like Dan Campbell wants to keep everybody safe, control the environment. I still would like to see my guys during the preseason. But it was three kind of first team rep stars, and we're going to take a look at those as well. One of them was the running back position. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery combined for 3 rushes of at least 10 yards, showcasing their ability to create explosive plays on the ground. Montgomery clearly operates well in a full contact practice as well. That is good because we've been waiting on that. Number 2, star Aiden Hutchinson, a 4th down stop and a sack, just another day in the office for Hutch. And the number 1 player, Brian Branch. As you can probably tell, it was a huge day for Branch, who made 5 impact plays in 10 possessions. What's truly impressive is how much he impacts every phase of the game, be it run defense, pass rush, or coverage. And we've been hearing a lot about Brian Branch being a little annoyed that he was drafted where he was. I just watched the draft again, like the draft highlights, and he came all the way out there, never cracked a smile. It wasn't until he got in front of the commissioner that he really kind of realized where he was at and that he should embrace the moment. And really, all we have been hearing is about Brian Branch and how he's really been the standout in camp among not only the rookies, but pretty much everyone. And I'm feeling now that Brian Branch is going to be the starter and Tracy Walker is going to be the odd man out, whether it's second string or something else that the Detroit Lions may have planned for him. So that's going to be pretty intriguing. Now, if we don't get to see the first string at all, we'll have to deal with the second string, and you guys can go and read about how Teddy seemed to do, and as well as the rest of the second team offense. But when it comes to that number 3 running back, we've had the conversation of who it would be. For the longest time, Muhammad had to be 3 or 4. He's no longer with the team. And now it's going to be Craig Reynolds or something like that. So this should be in trade. Well, Muhammad may have come back. I can't remember off the top of my head. But how did the second and third team do? Let's take a look. A strong day from Craig Reynolds, who had a pair of 30-plus yard runs, although one was called back due to a penalty. He seemed to have a stranglehold on the RB3 job. That is very, very intriguing because I wasn't sure if he was going to be number 3 or number 4. Especially after last year with him barely making the team. Bridgewater looked rough today, a lot of misfires throughout the day. His best throw, though, came on a deep shot to Dylan Drummond for 40 yards. The slot receiver beat Will Harris, no surprise there, on a vertical route. Another strong day for Drummond, who later made a diving catch to keep a drive alive for the second-team offense. Malcolm Rodriguez had the hit of practice, blowing up Craig Reynolds almost immediately as the running back caught a pass. Rodriguez continues to have a strong camp, flashing the same instincts and aggressiveness we've come to know. Speaking of reserve linebackers, Jalen Reeves-Maybin had a strong outing. It was with a third down run stop and an effective pressure on a blitz. Antoine Green had the only touchdown for the second team, a well-designed bootleg play that left Green wide open. The kicker competition feels heavily in favor of Riley Patterson, and Parker Romo doinking a 30-yard field goal off the uprights is not going to help him close the gap. The defense playing well is one thing. The offense playing well, all this stuff is good and well, but you're going against your own. They've been literally going against the same guys outside of the joint practices. So if Jared Goff is playing well or the defense is playing well against your own team, does that matter? Right? We heard a lot of that last year. And just to be clear, the Detroit Lions starters played the initial drive of the preseason game 1 last year. So the Atlanta Falcons, we took it down the field and we scored. So, I mean, I would like to see him on the preseason, but we may not. But here's the deal. If Dan Campbell is not satisfied, we could see the starters at least for a series or two come Friday. But we have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll know that maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll know if the starters are going to play any of the game at all. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to check it out. Pride of Detroit's article on the observations from training camp today. And let me know your thoughts. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.